This is the No Swear Gamer from YouTube and the Atari 7800 Game by Game podcast, and you are listening to the podcasting pride of the Smoky Mountains, the Two Dudes in a Nest, with your hosts, Dude Michael and Dude Justin.
Hey, Justin.
What's up, man?
I hope you got your booty ready.
Oh, my booty's ready.
Okay. All right, good. Because we got Steve and Michael, Aaron, and we're talking about pirates on the NES.
Not just any pirates, Sid Meier's pirates.
That's right. That's right.
Sid Meier's Pirates, exclamation point.
Yeah. We can't forget about the exclamation point.
Pirates. Pirates is like Punch Out. Yeah. Well, Punch Out had like 2 exclamation points. Yeah. It's like that.
I had to throw the Garth Brooks scream in there.
Right. It's only natural.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to, this episode's a long time coming. We've tried about 6 times now, I think, to get this one rolling.
How long ago did I say I wanted to do a Pirates episode with you guys?
2017.
Was that, are you for sure? Because I was thinking more like 2014.
Might have been 20. Yeah, I was like, hey, if I ever come back on, let's do Pirates.
After basically.
And you remembered, Michael, because it was back when I was on Retro Obscura. I don't know if I was even on Genesis Gems yet.
I don't think you were. I think this was like early days of I think we were maybe 20 episodes deep. It was like right after the Star Tropics episode, whatever episode that was.
Yeah.
That was like
a long time ago.
In the first 20 episodes.
Yeah. And you were like, yeah, that was fun. If you guys ever want me to come back on, I'll come back on for Pirates. And I said, yes, we will do Pirates soon. What now?
As in, almost never. But no, it happened. It is happening right now. The stars have aligned. Yeah.
Finally. All right.
That is correct.
So, I got we can jump right in the show. I got some tangents I can go on though. There's a few things that are on my mind.
What's on your mind?
Let's get after it.
Tangent alert.
Okay, so Justin, you and I were talking earlier. I think it's almost a yearly tradition, or it should be if it's not already, that come around this time of year, we got to start talking about desserts. And we were talking a little bit earlier today, and I think we need to get Steve and Michael and Aaron's opinion on this. I'm kind of talking. We'll talk summer desserts here, okay?
And we're coming off the heels of the greatest candy holiday, in my opinion, which is Easter.
Yeah,
actually has the base. It just has the most unique. You got the Peeps coming out. You got the Cadbury eggs, the Reese's Pieces eggs. I mean, there's a lot of unique candy.
I love this.
It's a great candy holiday. Yeah, it's a great candy holiday.
You guys Peep fans?
I'm a Peep fan.
Peep fan, eh?
I'm a hit or miss on the Peeps.
And the thing about the Peep is it's only good once a year, right? It's like a treat that if it was around all the time, I wouldn't like them. It's just
nobody would care.
Yeah, but it's once a year.
It's like candy corn. It's basically like candy corn. Let's be honest. It's one of those things where, like candy corn for Halloween is what Peeps are for Easter.
That's a good analogy. I mean, I'll eat a Peep on Easter, but they have like the Christmas Peeps and stuff now too. I'm not eating a Peep on Christmas. Sorry.
No, oh yeah. No. Well, that was the whole thing I was going to ask, because my girlfriend and daughter both love Peeps, but they're like a couple of weirdos where they actually like crack the package and let them get all like dried out and hard for a week or two.
Oh boy.
And then they eat them. And weird. I guess this past Christmas-ish season, they were trying to get the Peeps in, but I guess there was like a literal nationwide Peeps shortage. So they were like jacked up prices. You had to get them online, and you basically couldn't find them in the store anywhere.
Underground Peeps market.
Black Peeps.
Not even kidding.
Dark web Peeps.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. You had to get on the dark web to get to the Peeps. That's not the first time I've heard
a dead drop of Peeps.
It's not the first time I've heard of people like letting their Peeps get stale. I have heard people do that. I'm not. I like them fresh.
Oh,
I prefer them fresh too.
Immediately out of the package is when they're the best. In fact, I will eat the entire package There's no way any of them are going to go to waste.
I didn't know there was another way to eat them.
That's one of those things where I'll tell myself I'm only going to eat one or two, and I'll put them in a baggie, and then I'll immediately eat the next two in the next 10 minutes and just waste a baggie, basically, is all I've done.
I think I'm the worst
those are
candy person, just because this is not a joke. I would say that any holiday, Christmas or Easter or whatever, we'll just use Easter as an example because it just happened. But so Sunday, tons of candy. My son gets candy. He can't really eat candy because he's only 2 years old. So all the candy comes to me, which is good. No problem. But and my wife. But she's she's good about pacing herself, and she can make Easter candy last all summer long, right? That means my wife didn't get any candy, and it was all gone by Tuesday.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, I'm really good at eating candy until I get sick and then continuing to eat it. So it's one of those things I can't even keep it in the house.
Yeah, generally it's just not in our house. If we get candy for the holidays or something, a lot of times I'll just say, take this to work, please. Give it to your employees, because if it's here, it's gone. I'm eating it. But,
yeah.
But anyways, what I was wanting to talk about is desserts. Okay, so Justin, we had a ranking earlier through text message. You care to elaborate on what we were talking about?
Well, it was my daughter's birthday today, and she had she had her part. She's double digits now, 10. Yeah.
Wow, we just celebrated my daughter's birthday too. She just turned 12.
Awesome.
My daughter just turned 16.
Nice.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah, very scary.
Hey.
Either way, we had a cookie cake last night, and I sent Michael a text that said cookie cake greater than regular. And then he sent me a text back that said regular or ice cream cake greater than cookie cake greater than regular cake. And then I sent him one back that said pie greater than ice cream cake greater than cookie cake greater than regular cake. And then the granddaddy of them all, Mike, put in the cobbler greater than pie, greater than ice cream cake, greater than cookie cake, greater than regular cake.
Yes.
Which I concur. I there's something about the gooiness of a cobbler that's just amazing.
But it has to be the right temperature, right? It has to be just out of the oven.
Yeah,
right?
not piping hot, but I do like it kind of a lukewarm-ish. Just enough to where the scoop of ice cream that I put on top doesn't immediately melt. It just kind of gets a little soft.
That's what I was missing. I needed that scoop of ice cream, or it was no go. What
happens if you put ice cream cake on top of a cobbler?
Wow.
I think the world explodes because I don't know if my brain can handle that awesomeness right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm hungry.
I mean, what's funny is we did ice cream cake. So I was right along for that ride there you guys took me on. And then, you started talking about pies. I was like, well, I don't know if I love pie, but I don't know if all of my kids would really eat pie more than cake. Maybe one of them, but.
I think pie is probably the most controversial on the list, but.
Pie is interesting because it doesn't have to be a dessert dish. I think that pie is just more versatile than cake. No one ever eats a cake for dinner, but you can eat a pie for dinner.
I disagree.
Like a chicken pot pie?
Yeah, it depends on what the filling is you put in it.
I've definitely had cake for dinner.
Yeah, Aaron, that's fair. Wrong.
Yeah.
For that was literally all you ate.
Yeah.
That's fair.
There was a great meme I saw one time that said the second part of your life begins when you realize you don't need a special event to buy a sheet cake.
Yep, that's a good one.
Speaking of cakes, no, go ahead. I was just going to make a really bad transition.
The versatility of the pie. And I think pie is the more mature. I mean, if you asked 8-year-old me, I don't think I would have said pie was better than cake. I probably would have picked cake.
Yeah.
Sure.
Kids like cake way more than they like pie. But once
kids
you
are
get
idiots.
older,
Instant
it comes
gratification.
back.
I mean, yeah,
Kids
they
are
have
dumb.
their palates are so undeveloped, and pies definitely have a few different flavor combinations going on. With cake, it's pretty much just pure sugar piped into your mouth, and it's delicious, but sometimes it's too much.
As you get older, you realize you need that nuance, that sometimes that the pie even can have like a little bitter taste to it, but mix that with this sweet and maybe a little salty. It's, pie has a lot of depth, whereas cake's pretty shallow.
Yeah.
So what do you do with a pie that's like super boring, like a cream pie?
Add some coconut.
Where it's just kind of like, do you even need the crust? That's the only thing that technically makes it a pie.
Is that something that you're throwing? Are you throwing it at one of the two dudes? Are you throwing it in their face? Is it that kind of pie?
Could be.
Speaking of pudding in pie, I think the chocolate pie, that is the laziest pie, right? It's just chocolate pudding in a pie crust.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just say there's a big asterisk beside the pie being better than all those other ones, because there are some really terrible pies out there.
Right. Yeah.
We should put in front of that good pie is better than,
mincemeat pie. No thanks.
So then if you got cake ranked so low, what if you got like a triple German chocolate fudge cake or something like astounding, right?
I'm still probably going to put it down there.
Really? Still at the bottom?
Yeah. Something about
cake. What if your cake had pie crust on it somehow?
That's weird.
I don't think that works.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, we're speaking broadly here a little bit. We're not. I mean, if you want to get specific and give me a specific cake, a specific pie, a specific cobbler, then I may change my ranking. But in general terms, I stand by what Justin and I came up with.
Here's something
the only way cake and pies kind of meet in the middle is when you get to cheesecake, because you've got quote unquote cake and then it has some sort of pie crust on the bottom usually.
I think cheesecake is a pie.
I think cheesecake is a controversial one but I do agree. I think it is a pie. It's got the crust.
I think so.
I agree.
There's really nothing about it that makes it a cake. Like a cake is flour. It's like a bread consistency. And there's nothing about a cheesecake that says that.
Yeah, other than the idiot that named it a cheesecake. I mean, who did that?
He should have named it cheese pie. That would have been much better.
Yeah. Hey,
speaking of cheese pies, though. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of, we're talking about kids being idiots and stuff. I got another
tangent alert.
I got another tangent. I was watching a movie. I'm the guy with the youngest child here, I think, right? So I'm the newest dad. Yeah. But I was watching a movie, and it was about kids. It was about, kids doing. It was a comedy, and it was about like they had like a toddler, and it was doing crazy things. And I realized while I was watching this movie, now being a dad, that I always thought the movies were like super exaggerated and ridiculous, just to be funny. No, they're just real and they're funny. All of these things are real. Like the kid like squeezing something and it squirting up into the air and hitting the ceiling. No. That's not exactly exaggerated.
That is
definitely something that happens.
Or the diarrhea from HE double hockey sticks, definitely real.
So it's just...
Or going to open the diaper and then you just get immediately peed on.
Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That happened. Yeah. That's actually so frequent it's not even funny anymore. It's just like, oh, it's happening.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, oh.
Anyway, I just thought that was funny. You're talking about kids. I was like, I was watching that movie the other night. I thought it just dawned on me. No longer do I think that this is ridiculous just for laughs. It's just kind of realistic and funny.
It's almost a documentary.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of documentaries, we should probably talk about this game a little bit. You got any?
It is a documentary, isn't it?
Tidbits or trivia for us, Justin?
Now it's time for Justin's historical tidbits and trivia. Time to get out your D-pad notepads because you're about to get schooled by the doctor.
All right. Not only do I have tidbits and trivia, I have it in the form of a quiz game.
Yes.
Sweet.
All right. So for those listening at home, there'll be 5 questions. Each question has 4 multiple choice answers. If the contestants can buzz in with their name, if they think they know the answer, they can wait until all answer choices are read, or they can buzz in at any time. All right, let's get started. Question number 1. This game has the developer's name at the beginning of it, which was novel at the time for video games. Who suggested that this be done? Is it
Mike.
A, Shigeru Miyamoto? Mike?
David Crane.
No. David Crane.
He talks about,
right.
if you listen way back to our Boy in the Blob episode, he talked about being one of the front men for pushing for that, actually. So,
Okay.
so I was just, it's a little bit of a wild guess.
Suggest it.
So, clarification, were you asking for who suggested it, or were you saying developer?
Who suggested this to Sid Meier's personally?
Okay.
All right. It was suggested at a dinner party, to give you a hint.
I'm sticking with my answer. Even though
All
it's
right.
wrong.
Well, it's still wrong. It's still wrong. A, Shigeru Miyamoto. B, Koji Kondo. C, Satoru Iwata. Or D, Robin Williams.
Aaron, why not just go crazy and I'll say D, Robin Williams?
It's Robin Williams. That is correct.
That's
It
weird.
was at a party. It was like an event. It was like a corporate event, and Robin Williams likes the idea. He just floated the idea that they should just put his name at the beginning of the game, and they did it. So there you go.
So they started putting Sid Meier at the beginning of every Sid Meier or Microprose game?
Yep, because Robin Williams wanted it. He
That's
suggested
crazy.
it.
Gee.
So there you go.
Did not know that. Very cool.
All right, so Aaron comes out on top with after the first question. Question number 2. Sid Meier's partner in Microprose, Bill Steely, served in what branch of the military? Is it A, Army, B, Navy, C, Air Force, or D, Marines?
Aaron.
Steve.
Aaron, I think, buzzed in first.
I was gonna say was it between, you said Army, Air Force, Navy,
Marines.
Marines. I was gonna go for Air Force.
It's Air Force. Aaron Hickman with a commanding lead. Bill
Navy would have
Steely.
made too much sense, right? If you would have had Coast
Yeah,
Guard
I
in there, I
know.
would have been buzzing in.
I was thinking,
Navy was my thought.
I thought Navy because of silent service, but then I was just like, I remember they made like some sort of flight simulator game before that game.
Exactly, Aaron. Some of the early games that Bill Steely and Sid Meier developed prior
Aaron.
were
swear.
aviation
That's insane.
games.
That's insane.
And they actually bonded. They actually met each other by their love of aviation. So if you knew that, you would have got that question like Aaron did. He did his homework.
That's it, Aaron. You're off
Got
the
him in the
show.
lead 2-0.
Why don't you go back to your own show, Aaron? Jeez.
I don't think if we teamed up we could take down Aaron at this point.
Well, there's
We
a
have to go
reason
3
that
in a row.
there's a reason there's an Ask Aaron segment and not an Ask Michael or Stephen Michael, right?
Yep, that makes sense.
All
All
right.
together.
By your
Question
powers
3.
combined.
If Aaron gets this one, he'll wrap it up. This may be the earliest victory in quiz game history.
Oh no.
The NES release for this game was actually a late port. What system was the game initially released? All right, Steve.
Aaron.
Commodore 64.
It's Commodore 64. Steve
Yes,
and Michael.
He got it.
Good job, Steve. I knew that one too.
X
by the
gets
way.
the square.
Just
He
a-
blocked the win by Aaron.
Yep,
So
I
far.
played it on that Commodore actually.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a little easier game. Here, let me a little easier question. While designed by Microprose, who released the game for the NES?
Aaron.
Aaron?
Oh, I know
Konami
this.
using
No,
the Ultra
Mike.
label.
No,
you said Konami
Steve,
first.
Steve. Yeah, you did, Steve.
No, I said the full answer though. I'm gonna be pedantic like my son is because
said
my son
Mike
does this
before
all
you
the
finished.
time.
This might be tough
Did you say?
because This is going to be tough. Because Konami and Ultra are both answer choices.
Konami's wrong, though.
Konami's wrong.
It's Ultra. Ultra is their division, so they could get around the Nintendo limit of games to be released in any 1 year.
I know, but the way I said it was Konami under the Ultra label.
You said Konami first. Okay, that's it. That's it. We're going to the soundboard, and I'm going to hit a random button. If it's an Aaron button, you get it, Aaron. Otherwise, I get it. Okay. Sounds like I get it.
Yep.
I don't even have an Aaron button.
All right,
That's
fine.
great.
We'll give it to Mike.
Give me the pity. Give me the pity here.
Pity.
So at question 5, we're going into question 5. Aaron can win it, or Steven or Michael can actually tie.
We got to keep
go
things interesting around here.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So
Hey,
what
hold
is
on.
something?
One thing, real quick. Aaron, I think what got you is you're too smart for your britches, as we say in the Southeast. You got a little too fancy with your answer.
Fancy with it.
I did.
So, anyways, go ahead.
All right. So question 5: what is something unique that Sid Meier's wanted gamers to experience with each of his games? Was it A, learn something, B, get angry, C, find peace, or D, be motivated?
Steve.
Aaron.
Steven?
I want to say learn something.
It was learn something.
That makes no sense.
Good one.
Yep.
It makes no sense, Michael.
I said that makes the most sense. That's what I said. But
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
It also doesn't make a lot of sense.
What were you guys thinking? The answer was?
No, I was thinking the
That was what I
same
was gonna go
thing
with, yeah.
because
Yeah.
he made a lot of simulation games and each one had like accurate historical information in it. So
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right.
Cool.
So
So 2-way tie.
it's a 2-way tie.
do you need a tiebreaker?
Let's see.
What have I got
okay.
in my pockets? Like, no.
Who is that?
I'm thinking of a number. No. All right, here we go. Why do pirates wear a patch over one of their eyes?
I do.
What is it? A, they lost an eye in gun
Aaron.
battle. Aaron,
They lost an eye during battle.
that's incorrect.
I'm so happy you took that answer, not me.
Is it B, to keep their one eye adjusted to nightfall? Is it C, to keep themselves from scratching their eye with their hook? Or D, it was the fashion of the time?
Oh, it's got to be so they can see their enemies. Whatever B was.
That makes sense.
It's B. And I don't even know if that's true. I just typed in pirate trivia and that's one of the things that came up. So it may.
So I could be right.
But I'm right for this actual question.
In this particular universe, you win.
What?
Well, this is the one we're living in. So
Congratulations,
thank you.
Stephen.
Thank you. You can't see it, but I'm bowing right now, everybody.
Yes.
Well, I've got another bonus question. What does the ocean say to pirates?
What?
Nothing.
See you later.
Just waves.
This game has a lot of that.
Yep.
All right. Well, Michael, did you have this game growing up, or did you go out on a quest to find it?
Now it's time for the thrill of 8-bit discovery with Michael's quest to find the cart.
Whoa! Speaking of quest, that was a long intro jingle.
Intro music?
I'm not used to events that long. Okay. Well, Justin, I'm glad you asked. Not that you wouldn't ask because you ask every episode, but this one I had to go on a little bit of a quest. So I was out and about around town. You know, COVID's out and about as well, so I decided to go by boat to try to avoid the COVID-19. Because I've seen a lot of people driving around in their cars with masks on, so I'm afraid to drive. I'm afraid it lives in cars. So,
Makes sense.
so I went by boat, and so I was just riding along in my boat. It's a sailboat. And as you know, Justin, I did go to one meeting of the sail club at the University of Tennessee. So I'm a really pretty profound sailor.
Right. Our contribution to the sailing club was we went to one meeting and we drank a lot and listened to sailing music.
Yes. Not at the meeting, unfortunately. This was just like months and months after going to. No, mostly Christopher Cross, but
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
maybe some Sticks. Come Sail.
Yeah, we definitely listened to that one. Yeah. Anyways, I was sailing down the Tennessee River, and it was not very windy on the Tennessee River, so it took a long time. But I eventually made it to Georgia, where I was met by. Wow, this is going on way too long. No, I don't have this game. Yeah, I didn't go on a quest to get it. I don't have it. I demoed this one, so there you go. There's my story.
I love you. Just gave up right in the middle. Just boom, done.
I'm trying to figure out new ways to tell my stories. I think it was the last episode. I just flat out didn't tell one, and then this episode, I stopped midway. Stay tuned for next episode to see how I tell my story.
We just cut the segment out completely next episode.
Might as well, right?
If you do point. 2 intros in a row, that intro and another one, and then never address it.
Yeah. Never address it.
We'll figure something out. Anyways, I didn't, but Aaron or Steven, do you have this game?
Yeah.
I definitely had it. Yep. You want to go first, Aaron?
Why not? Yeah. So first time I encountered it was on a friend's computer. They had it on the Amiga, which was the first place I played it. And then I found it at a pawn shop. That was my quest. I went there with my brother sometime in the mid-90s, to be honest. And we went, and they had a copy of Pirates. And I didn't remember Pirates being on the NES at that time. That was back before the internet was everywhere. And so you kind of had to look at like those Funkoland listings. And then, found the game and absolutely loved it. Having already played a bit of it on Amiga, I was hooked, and I was kind of thrilled that they were able to take this game that was a computer title and pretty much faithfully reproduce it on the NES, what I felt. So, yeah.
Very nice.
Cool. Yeah.
So I ended up playing this for the first time ever at my great-grandpa's house, and they had a Atari 2600 set up and a bunch of games, but I never really liked that because they had an original NES set up there. So one of the games was Pirates, and, playing Mario and all that, like, of course, those are fun and groundbreaking. However, playing Pirates, where it's like an actual quote unquote open world type game, basically blew my mind. I was absolutely obsessed with that game, and unfortunately only had it there, for a relatively short period of time, just visits, which weren't all that often, but thankfully it had a battery pack for saving and everything. At any rate, didn't have a map for it, so had to basically memorize the entire Caribbean, as a relatively young kid, and would be super aggressive with everything. And long story short, I ended up getting that copy from my grandpa after he passed away. And like an idiot, I don't know, about a decade ago when I started first collecting video games, I found this was a little bit of a beat up copy, nothing crazy. But I found a crisp, like not new, but like, very well preserved copy, and ended up just getting rid of the other one. And I've kicked myself ever since for not having that original just to hold on to it. I probably made $10 or $12 or whatever, but had this game for a long time, played it many, many times, all different kinds of styles. So I do have we had the instruction manual, but it wasn't the original. It was like this weird scanned in, folded up copy. So I still have that at least. So that's kind of memorable from having this game so young.
All I have left is the manual to the game.
The real manual.
The real manual. Because I'd gotten a box copy after I sold my initial copy. Of course, I sold all my NES games sometime in 2008 or so. I had something like over 300 games.
Wow.
This was sadly one of them. But then someone that I know Michael and Justin remember, Chad Hall, he used to be part of the Retro Junkies a long time ago. He found me a box copy of this game because he knew it was like my favorite NES game, and he ended up shipping a copy to me. And complete in box with the manual. And then I don't know what happened to that copy of the game, so now all I have is the manual. But yeah, it's still like, it's either my favorite NES game or top 5, somewhere in there.
Did you ever have the map with it?
You know what? For the longest time, I did not. And I didn't even realize that it came with a map until I played like a Pirate's Gold, where I guess that one had a built-in map. But yeah, I didn't realize the NES version came with a map.
Yeah.
Until I was able to look at like game facts or game FAQs years later.
Yeah, I didn't realize it either.
Yeah, so I was with you. I was memorizing the locations, and then once we had the internet, I was printing out multiple pages so I could stitch together a map because the map was so
awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then making my own little notes on the map, and because depending on the time period you played this game at, the cities actually change.
Yep, settlements change, and also who control, like what, empires control what locations, who's larger, smaller, how powerful they are, how aggressive they are. Yeah, that all changes. It's pretty sweet.
Kind of gives it kind of something that's still kind of remarkable, and especially for NES, was that it kind of gave it the feel, it's kind of like a living, breathing world. Where things were changing outside of you.
It sure does sound like you guys are trying to talk about the game discussion segment, which is next after our commercial.
That's after 5 more tangents. We got to for those.
We're supposed to stick a commercial in here before you guys get started on all that stuff. Okay, so
let's do it.
We're going to commercial, and when we come back, you can continue your discussion. Leave it to Aaron. Leave it to Aaron. Obviously,
always.
I'm Tom Arnold, and I'm impressed that you're listening to Two Dudes and an S.
Time to dig into some good old-fashioned game discussion.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Aaron. Continue on your journey.
I'm just still amazed that you got Tom Arnold to say anything.
Seriously. That is so cool.
Is that a knock on us or Tom Arnold?
Take your pick.
Brutal.
Just kidding.
You know how I like to start the real gameplay discussion is with the manual.
Yeah.
So Aaron, do you have yours handy?
I have the next best thing. I don't want to get up and go grab it.
PDF.
So yeah, I've got the PDF version.
Well, since you truly do have a copy somewhere, supposedly, I'll let you read the story for us.
Sure. Okay, so it says, "Ahoy, matey! Welcome aboard." And then it says, this is a fun little manual. It's got a picture of a ship, and it says, "To a time of bold adventuring when the sword was mightier than the pen. A time of grand opportunities for someone with enough ambition, courage, and muscle. From a humble start, you set out for the Caribbean to make a reputation for yourself." Do you guys say Caribbean or Caribbean?
I say Caribbean.
Yeah.
I think it's based on the setting of the sentence. It's almost like crescent and croissant, right?
That's fair.
You would say a croissant roll.
Yeah,
would you say a croissant roll?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is a whole other discussion we got to get into later.
Okay. So the Caribbean, I'm just kidding. The Caribbean, to make a reputation for yourself, build or steal a fortune. Game that promotes stealing, absolutely. Meet beautiful women, unearth buried treasures, and with royal favor, perhaps even gain a title of nobility. In Pirates, you will do all that and more. Your goal is to make your fortune sailing the Spanish Main so that you may retire to a life of wealth, ease, and high status. The quality of your retirement is a sum of your personal wealth, your rank, your lands, your reputation, the wife you marry, Fanny, and whatever pleasing events you accomplish during your adventures, such as saving members of your family from kidnappers. After your voyage, you can return to port and divide up the plunder, and then retire or return to adventuring if your health permits. But you're not ready to hear about retiring. You're just a young landlubber seeking a chance to conquer the high seas. Hoist the sails and prepare to set off. There you go.
Nice.
Very good.
That sums it up pretty well. As far as the story goes, the game though, this game's dense.
I mean, this isn't like a Koei strategy game, but I would say there is definitely some stuff to learn.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I didn't play this as a kid. I didn't play it. I really have not played it until we went to discuss it on the podcast. So I don't have a ton of experience with it. So I'm going to rely on you and Steven to do a lot of the gushing over the game. But I just will say that this game is going to, if you want a game that, if you like simulation games and you want a game that's going to be worth your money, this is a game that will take you a long time to really figure out and wrap your head around. So,
but once you get those intricacies, though, it is just amazing. It's unbelievable for an NES game. A game from that era. It still blows me away.
Yeah, same here. It just feels like there weren't many other NES games outside of maybe there was only one other game I can think of that even had piracy in it, let alone, talking about the real world and sailing around, which is, I think, uncharted waters. And this one just plays a lot smoother, in my opinion. It's just easier to jump into and go. I mean, like, the first scene in this game is literally you having to take charge of a ship, right? You have to go, there's a ship on fire, and then you have to, like, fight an enemy captain, and that's where the game starts to slowly introduce its mechanics. And so the first thing is like, okay, well, how do I fight? And so you figure out how to fight. And, you don't have like a life meter. There's basically like, there's morale for your men at the bottom of the screen. And that sort of dictates like how good you're doing versus how bad the enemy captain's doing. And it kind of switches. It can go back and forth. So like they can gain the upper hand or you can gain the upper hand.
Yeah, and you got several weapons to choose from, which dictates how your attacking style is going to go. And those all have little intricacies.
Yeah, isn't it based like how, like the length of the blade and kind of how fast you're going to speed, something like that?
Yeah, I always use the I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but the rapier, whatever that is, and I just basically push forward into them and then just mash the button over and over and over. And like I win probably 99.9% of the battles that way on any difficulty setting. Doesn't matter.
Hey, Steven, is that one of them words that depends on what the context of the sentence?
It may be if I even knew one proper way to pronounce it.
I just say cutlass. That's fine. And longsword. That's no problem there.
That's easy, yeah.
But yeah, there are, even before you get into that battle, the game presents you with options. So before you even get into like that first battle, you have to figure out, okay, they ask you for the last name of your family. They ask you, oh, hey, do you want to play during a specific time period? And if you hit no, I think it just takes you to a default year.
It takes you to the easiest year, I think.
Right. And then if you say yes, it goes all the way from, I think, it's like the 1500s to 1600s.
Yeah, it's 15. So it's the Silver Empire in 1560. Spain controls all but one colony. Got merchants and smugglers, 1600. New colonists, 1620. War of Profit, 1640. Buccaneer heroes, 1660. And pirates, sunset, 1680.
Yeah, and, so this is a typical simulation game thing, which is like, oh, hey, you can sort of dive in into the game at certain points. But I would say, unlike other simulation games, this one isn't saying, oh, you are this specific person in history. It's more like, no, you're the player, and we're just going to say that you're a pirate, or you came from a family. You don't even have to be a pirate in this game if you don't want to be. You're just the player. And it's cool that it kind of gives you that ambiguity. That's what makes it kind of open world. You can decide to be a pirate or not be a pirate. If you want to, depending on the time period of this game that you choose, could depend whether you even want to be a pirate, because I think it's War Buccaneers is the one where, at least according to the manual, like that's where the Spanish has the most wealth that you can go plunder. And then if you do like Pirate Sunset, you're better off, I think, being a trader if you're being like a Dutchman or something. And I don't know if any time period in this game is good to be the Spanish, to be honest, because the Spanish in this game are kind of like the overlords, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of like the ones with all the money at the time, and they kind of they called it the Spanish Main for a reason. So it's much
you lose
easier.
A lot of targets. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you have way less targets to attack, and that's like your bread and butter in the game for the most part.
Because the game doesn't really end until you want it to end, and your end goal is to try and get land and titles. And you only get titles, if you attack enemy ships on behalf of like the Spanish crown or the English crown. And so that's how you like rise up and rank in this game. And that gives you, more points to your end score, basically.
Yeah.
So you can retire a rich man.
Exactly. And it's great when you go to retire this game. I love it because that's part of the replayability of this and the addictiveness is when you go retire, there's like a long list of things you can retire to do. And if you retire too early, and let's say you didn't find buried treasure and you didn't marry a nice wife, then you end up a pauper at the end of the game, or you're like a sharecropper. There's like so many different things that you retire to become just based on, I think, how happy your crew was, because they have their own morale system, and also just, how much money you ended up with at the end of the game and your rank.
Yeah, you guys,
some interesting,
You guys kind of hinted at it, but I don't think you came right out and said it. You can also, not only are you picking the time period that you're from, but you're also picking like which side you're on, sort of.
Yes.
So you can be this.
Yeah.
You can be English. You can be the
Which
Spanish,
nationality?
the Dutch. Or French. So you can be like all these different
pirate
things.
who doesn't care. Yeah, you could be a pirate who just attacks everybody,
right,
willy nilly.
So that was really usually my style.
But you still have to pick
war on everybody.
You still have to pick your nationality.
You have to pick, yeah.
You can go against your own. You can go against your own side if you want to.
Yep.
You really can.
So
you can do some dirty, underhanded stuff.
And each one starts with different, like, I'll say stats for lack of a better term, but different booty or whatever, depending on what area you're in and stuff. And then some are not even available depending on which area you start because they're trying to be so historically accurate.
They've been wiped out. Yeah,
that really adds
out of whatever they were in.
Yeah, that really adds a lot to the replayability too of this game because it's a spider web of different paths through this game.
Yeah, there's like a randomness and a chance that affects everything. Like you kind of get what I call into random encounters in this game, sort of like a typical RPG of that era, where you're just going about your business on the high seas, and then an event will happen, and you'll be taken to another screen, and sometimes it's just, a ship from your nationality, and you can hail them for news, and they tell you like, oh, hey, the French and the Dutch are allies. Oh no, malaria hit this place. Don't go there. You might get sick. Like that sort of thing. And then sometimes you'll encounter pirates, other like notorious pirates that you want to go after, because if you go and capture those guys, then not only can you get their gold and some of their men to join you, but they give you the option of you can hold them for ransom, and you can take them back to a governor if you feel like it, and get some sweet change and maybe an extra title. Or you can actually ask them about there's like two things you can ask them about, right? Like, because Spain has all this money, they have the silver train, which is something that travels across the land, that's landbound. But then they also have the treasure fleet, which travels randomly all around the Spanish Main. And then they'll tell you where it is or where it was last spotted. And so, like, depending on like what difficulty you're on, you may want to go like, okay, I'm going to race right over there. And I don't know, there's just like this, if you play this game enough and you just like know to race towards wherever that treasure is, and there's just like this elation and this sense, this great feeling like when you actually get there and you're like, oh, I'm gonna take it down, and this little jingle that plays, especially in the NES version, when you actually accomplish that, and it says there's like an exclamation point, it's like the treasure fleet is in town, right? So you get to that town and you invade it and you actually take it over. And then you just like see this cool little image of like all this treasure, and you see like your men all happy, and it's like so much money, and way more money than you had earlier in the game, that you can pretty much just kind of dominate by that point. And
for sure. What's even worse is when you go to attack and you don't actually win because they outnumber you. If it's like early game and you just don't have the forces to actually invade properly.
That's so sad. Yeah.
Yep. That's almost like you might as well just restart.
Or you can save scum, which is just like where you go, you save your game, and then if you're going to have a crazy encounter like that, you just keep on restarting until it goes your way. That happens. You get outnumbered in this game a lot, and the other thing we didn't mention was that you have to pick a skill at the beginning of the game, and that can really determine stuff early on. Like you can pick a skill at gunnery, so like, do your cannons actually hit the enemy? You can do skill at navigation, like when you're attacking against the wind. If you play this game on a higher difficulty, forget it. You have a terrible time. But if you have
it'll start going backwards,
right? Like it's drunk. If you have the skill at navigation, at least the wind favors you a little more.
I normally chose fencing.
Yeah, fencing. Fencing's good because that's a skill that you're going to use throughout the game.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like, I don't really understand I struggle to understand bits and pieces of the game. So knowing what skill to get, I was totally beyond me. But I think it is cool that the wind plays such a factor in the game. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's really
your ship size, the ship speed, and then obviously the wind, the direction. So you could be in a faster ship against a slower one, but if you're got to go into headwind, you'll never catch them by the time they get off screen and escape.
Yeah, and
if they're trying to run from you as opposed to attack you. Yeah.
I definitely recommend, if you're kind of new to this game, of course, put it on Apprentice, get used to the mechanics. Like part of this game is just you go into towns, you talk to the governor. It's kind of a cadence. Talk to the governor if you can. He might give you some information about a long lost sister or some pirate that you like. He gives you escort missions sometimes if you're in his favor. So this game has escort missions. it has a dating sim aspect, which is where you go around to different governors and you try and woo their daughters. And what's funny is you'll hit some landmines sometimes where it's like the ladies aren't necessarily the most attractive in this game. They kind of have different levels of attractiveness.
May or may not have a boil.
But they're actually helpful if you just decide, I just want to be friends with them. I'm not going to try and take them out for dinner or whatever.
Aaron,
and
the
so
lady
you
killer.
can have
Picking and choosing.
right. You can have like ladies all over the place, and you just decide to make a small conversation, and suddenly they're acting as spies for you in this game, which is so crazy. So you can go to different towns, and it's like you go visit the governor, and your lady friend's like, "Oh, did you hear so and so, such and such pirates in this place?" Or, "Hey, they found something about your long lost relative," or blah blah blah. Like it's all randomized, but it's like a cool concept. Like, oh, you're not necessarily gonna have to marry the first lady you meet in the game.
Mike, I just hope you get the drop of Aaron saying you can have ladies all over the place.
I need to save that audio clip.
Someone even meet when you go.
I'll stick it right next to the Nick Stevens top 10.
Some of these ladies will rebuff you like hard, and that's why you would want to pick the Whitney
Aaron,
charm.
this is a family show.
They are rebuffing you. Nothing more. I promise.
I honestly don't know what rebuff means. So.
Rebuff just means they rebuff your advances, and they turn you down. They're like,
okay.
nope.
Okay, gotcha.
They nope you.
It's usually the prettier ones are the ones that want nothing to do with you.
Unless
you have like fame, notoriety.
Right?
Yeah. You got to get.
I mean, Justin, you know me. You can understand why I didn't know what rebuff meant.
Tennessee boy, born and raised.
I just meant I've never experienced a rebuffing. This is new to me.
Yeah, all right.
That's just because you met your wife and that was it.
Yeah, I'm a one-woman man. All right, you guys. Hold on. I'll let you guys get back to gushing about this game because I know you and Aaron are I knew this would be a love fest. That's why I had you on.
Don't worry.
But
just autopilot. It's autopilot.
Just yeah, exactly. I figured it'd be an easy day for Justin and I just have you guys on. But I do want to. I got to get a little bit of negative in here because this is we're going a little too. The train's going a little too positive, and this is not. This is not a perfect game by any means.
I gotta go, guys.
The game is. It's really difficult to get into, and everything moves very slowly, like at a snail's pace. Slow. And I understand you're sailing, and you got to have the wind. And I like that aspect, but even when the wind is at your back, it's like it's a simulation. It feels like how long it would take me to sail from like Spain to America. It is forever.
Sure. I think that is a totally valid argument by today's standards. You didn't play it, when you were younger, kind of like us. And for me personally, I loved when I just had a blue screen, as boring as that may be or seem, having a blue screen for, let's say, 3 or 5 minutes, depending on whatever angle you cut across the sea, not knowing where I was going next, and then just seeing a little bit like a peak of land somewhere and having to like turn kind of back around to get to it and explore, where are these towns? Who controls it? When you get to a town, you can sail right into the harbor, you can just if it's like landlocked, you can march into the town, but then you can also attack it or sneak in. Like there's just choices. So everything I can almost remember feeling my anxiety go up when I was coming to a town. Cause it was like, is this friendly? Is it not? Am I going to attack them? Am I going to get my ship blown up? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was like that excitement. If it was like every town you went to, you knew exactly where everything was, and it was like super linear, I think that'd be almost kind of boring.
Can you play some yacht rock for us?
That's it. Or some sea shanties.
And now,
I just imagine.
Did you guys ever hear any sea shanties?
There was that sea shanty that was huge on TikTok for a while. That became like a huge meme, and
Aaron,
then I couldn't.
You were so hip. You were so hip, man. I don't get it. How old are you? I thought you were close to our age.
Yeah, I'm old enough.
Just turned 16.
you're talking about all these TikToks, and man, you're a hip dude.
Sea shanties became huge for a minute on TikTok, and yeah, I heard about it. I heard one of the songs. It was great. Different people like got together. Like one person would sing this actual sea shanty, and then other people would join in with like, oh, here's a harmony, here's a bass drop, right? Here's an EDM dance beat that they added to it, and suddenly you've got like, oh, now I'm listening to like sea shanty electronic dance music. Like that's great.
That's what EDM stands for.
Yeah,
electronic dance music.
Interesting. Yeah. God, learn something new every day.
Yeah,
I've learned
I heard about sea shanties. You and I both. The sea shanty thing, I heard Elon Musk talking about it on Joe Rogan's podcast. And, if you just YouTube, I don't know anything about TikTok, but you just YouTube sea shanties. There are tons of them. They're super addicting. They're like little earworms. It's crazy.
They were the pop songs of their day because people would memorize them and sing them on boats.
I do remember us listening to "What Do You Do with the Drunken Sailor" several times on repeat, along with Christopher Cross. That was one of them.
99 bottles of beer on the wall.
Yeah. Hey, that 3 to 5 minute boat ride you're talking about, Steve, that does give you time to go make you a Hot Pocket or something. So I guess I can appreciate.
I was thinking it gives you time to listen to "Sailing" by Christopher Cross.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but they don't have to. You also get those random encounters.
Yeah, that's
that
what
ruins
it
the
is.
Hot Pocket.
The game is right. Well, that's what the game is kind of broken up by, and I've seen other games do this too. And this is sort of to make up for the more primitive graphics of the time. When it came out in like '87 or whatever, was that. You don't really see the enemy ships or things on the screen. The game has to sort of flip over to another screen to like a random encounter to get you there. But I feel like there are enough random encounters in this game so that it's not so bad. I see that as more of a plus to break up that flow. But I definitely get you because there are times where it feels like the game has territories and places where ships are invisibly sailing. So I can get how that would be frustrating because depending on what course you travel on, you might have a couple minutes where there are no random encounters because you're literally like in no man's land or no one owns that territory. Like if you get too far up north, it happens to you. So like I get that, and
if you don't have a map, forget about it.
If you don't have a map, if you're a newcomer to this game, then I would say absolutely play it with a map, or better yet, play the Sega Genesis version that has a built-in map. Did I say that?
Ooh, damn! Dare you?
No, I'm going to say something controversial, which is that I prefer the NES version of this game because
now there's a drop.
I'm definitely clipping that.
I prefer this version of the game because I think the combat's more fluid than the Genesis version. And also when you visit towns in the Genesis version, you kind of have to walk up to everything. And this game just gives you a nice little menu and you can pick what you want right off the bat. The Genesis one, it's like, oh, I got to walk over somewhere.
Speaking of walking, you can forget about walking on land. That takes forever.
Oh,
that's even worse than sailing.
I agree with you. That is painful. Yep.
That is pain, especially when you have to walk to like Panama or like somewhere where it's a city in the middle of the land, and then it goes into like the land battle, which I hardly ever did in this game because it was kind of crazy.
But the land battle was just when like attacking cities though on land. Like you didn't get the random encounters like you would on the sea.
No, you didn't. But there were things where if you had to march up to a town in the middle of land and actually fight against it, then it would put you into this thing where you're marching your soldiers up, and then they're marching their soldiers up, and both sides have muskets. That's what I remember.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. And I agree. That was probably the worst aspect of the game, between the land walking and then the land combat.
But
if you're attacking,
you can avoid it.
Yeah. If you're attacking a city by sea, unless you had the wind blowing in the opposite direction, which is totally messing you up, which is practically impossible at that point. You just have to come back later and hope for the wind to change.
Pick the fastest ship, which is, that was always my strategy. You pick the fastest, lightest ship, hope that you have enough crew, like a sloop or something, or a pinnace, and you go into Cuba, you go to Havana or something, and they've got like 4 forts, and there's some rich city. You go in there with your little ship, and you can sail in there. You can try and take it over. If you're at a low difficulty, you might actually accomplish it.
Yeah.
But the higher the difficulty, they don't play around, and they will whittle you down to like one person left. And as soon as you get attacked, if they hit your guy, you're gone.
Going to the jail.
You go into the break for like months, and then you get older in this game. You actually do age.
Yeah, and you get busted out, and then they're like, "No, you can't be our captain anymore." Oh wait, yeah. The busting out part is just the story. Like when they get you out, that was always, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I thought, well, it's
a nice little touch.
Yeah.
Or like you get marooned on a deserted island, and yeah, same deal. Like one of your former crew members recognizes you and takes pity on you.
I wish it was marooned on a desert island, huh?
Desert island.
Eat some cobbler.
I'd be down for that.
It's a throwback for you.
Vanilla cake.
Yeah. I would love that. So yeah, like once you get the flow of this game, you really can get into it. And of course, if you have a map, and there are some things that make your time with it much better, I would say, like just knowing like, oh, hey, I need to go take some ships from people, or like I'm better off ramming into ships than I am actually trying to fight them half the time.
Yeah,
because
the cannon battles are tough.
The cannon battles are tough, especially if you're trying to use a larger ship against a smaller ship. It's nearly impossible. So a lot of times,
zipping around.
Take your fastest ship out. Go take their giant war galleon that they have. Go ram into it and just climb aboard their ship and try and take it over. And that's, at least in the lower difficulties, that seems to do the best. But yeah,
which I mean,
I will say
on the lower difficulty. What's up?
I was just gonna say, I will say that I think the ship battle part is probably my favorite part, even though it's very frustrating when your ship is the same ship as the opponent and it's the same speed. And so nothing is happening. You're just like sailing. I hate that.
Synchronized sailing.
Yeah, synchronized sailing. Exactly. Synchronized sailing. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world when that happens. But when it doesn't happen and you're like dancing around each other, trying to shoot each other with cannons or ramming and boarding and fencing, that's when the game's pretty cool. At least it's from a gameplay standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a little kid, probably literally the first memory of this game ever, I was playing with an older cousin, and I'm sure it was his copy or whatever that he left there. But long story short, I'm like in like a little sloop or like a real tiny ship, and right out of the gate, like I chose Spain, end up attacking like a Spanish galleon or a war galleon, something like that. Like and he's like, no, like first off, don't attack your own country, which I was like, no, I'm going after him. And then secondly, I bashed into their ship with my little ship, and then I ended up taking it over, and he couldn't believe it. He was like, how does it blew his mind at the time. And of course I'm like, I don't know, 8, 9 years old maybe. And I'm like, oh yeah, of course, I'm just going directly at them. And so that was like,
approach.
Yeah, and that was like my go-to strategy from then on. But your largest ship typically is what you actually go into battle with at sea. So if you start building out your ships and you collect nothing but large ones, and then you are trying to get like a small pirate ship or something like that, for a bounty, then it's hard to catch them half the time.
Yeah, you got to be kind of careful. Sometimes you may just want to sail. You may want to. How do I say this word? Sell. You may just want to sell your bigger ships when you get into town and you want to trade with the merchant and just kind of have a lighter load. Basically, there's just little things you learn as you keep playing this game, because it's one of those games that you kind of go back to and have different voyages, because every time you play it, it's unique. So you sort of start picking things up as you keep playing. But it doesn't. Yeah.
As you're saying with the selling of ships, like all of the ships have different cargo space on them. Right. And so obviously the large ones have more cargo space. So if you're getting like, your sugar and salt and, like you have like a resource management of how these items get used for the size of your crew. So not only does it dictate how much materials you can hold, but how many crew members you can hold and how many guns you have. And, so it's like it's a resource management game on top of everything else we've discussed.
Yeah, I would say the one thing in this game, don't expect a lot of story in this game. There are little bits of flavor text that kind of keep you engaged, and stuff like reuniting with your loved ones. But it's not like you're playing Skyrim or something. You're not expecting like, oh, here's a main quest line. I guess if you were to say that there was a main quest line in this game, it's finding all of your long lost family members, right? And reuniting with everybody.
That, and then finding the lost treasure, pieces, and collecting those along the way as well.
That was probably one of my favorite things, was just getting these random pieces. And the harder the difficulty, like they'd only give you like you could buy it from a bum, and he'd give you like a fourth of a piece of a map. And like, oh, here you go. And you're like, where the heck is this?
And it gives you like map, no information.
And then if you go and talk to another bum at another town, he's like, oh, hey, I've got another piece of a map to sell you. And it's like, then it's suddenly they tell you where it's nearby. So it's handy. But then, that's where you got to go march your dudes out onto a piece of land, and then you can search for things. And hope you come across something. But there's interesting events that can happen. Like if your crew is really angry with you, if you're not getting up into enough battles, and or you're losing, or a lot of them are dying, or you don't have enough food. Then there will be a mutiny, and one of your crew will challenge you for control of the ship. And if you play this game at like swashbuckler difficulty, not only is the sea really choppy and sucks and sends you in the wrong direction half the time, but your crew is mad at you constantly. Yeah. And unless you're finding buried treasure, you're not going to win them over.
Yeah, I almost feel like you have to choose the fencing skill on that one, just from how often you're fighting.
I've never done well at the highest difficulty. I've tried. It's something you kind of have to take a little bit slower and be more methodical in what you do. But what I've read before is if you pick one of these higher difficulties, just like in other games, it's the higher the risk, the higher the reward, because when you go to divide up your plunder, you'll get the lion's share. Whereas if you play this game on Apprentice, then your crew members, I guess the smart thing to do would just be kill off most of your crew, right?
That is a strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, they died in a battle, or we hit a coral reef or whatever. Just let some of them die off, and then suddenly you've only got to share your wealth with, like 10 people.
Now my basic playstyle strategy would be to just go pure pirate, attack everybody and everything, everywhere I were to go, collect, all of the Spanish, is it the galleon or the war galleon is the largest ship?
War galleon.
Yeah, so I would have as many of those as I could get, and then just go around and terrorize the sea for as long as I could. But that doesn't work on the higher difficulty.
No.
I mean, I'm sure maybe somebody more skilled at the game, but yeah, that style definitely, you have to play it more traditional, like what you were saying.
You have to get a much larger crew to really be able to take the hits that you take, because you are just kind of a sponge to these attacks. It's kind of hard to dodge reliably, because there's like an up, a middle, a down when you get into a battle, as far as like how you can dodge, and then how you're going back and forth. And so you really do want to have enough crew a lot of the time if you're going into battle, because they do kind of act as almost how many hit points you have is how many men you have, and then that morale system that kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah, and you can get the crew from the towns as well as, after you plunder a ship, you're able to bring on, their crew as well. So you can kind of that's how you balance out, what your life is, I guess you would equate them to.
Yeah, I would say that. I would say another interesting mechanic we didn't touch on was that you can sort of figure out where who dropped out? Uh-oh.
We lost
Did Justin fall asleep?
Oh, well. Sorry, Justin. I was going to say an interesting mechanic was the fact that whenever you decide to retire, you can quit the game and retire to whatever you're doing, or it'll let you actually change the difficulty. So you could bump your difficulty up. You could have your rank still, and then there's a way to where you want to move up to the next difficulty. The game will let you during the game, which is really neat. So It's like, I feel good enough at Apprentice. I'm going to, move up to adventure or journeyman or whatever it is. So that was cool. And I think pretty much the only thing we didn't cover on the Aaron and Steve podcast.
Hey, we're still around for comic relief here. Okay, that's what my job is.
I was gonna say,
I got two jobs on this podcast. One, comic relief, which I feel like I'm doing a decent job this episode.
Great.
And two, I got to bring you guys back down as you'll bring us up, and I got to bring you back down a little bit. So just let me know when I need to bring it back down a little bit.
Okay, I will say one other thing that you can bring it down on is the sun sight mechanic, which I did not understand for the longest time until I looked at the manual.
It's ridiculous.
The sun sight, if you play this game without the manual, you're like, okay, what is this? I'm like lowering and raising a bar, and there's a sun. Basically, that tells you your latitude, I want to say, your north to south latitude. And you have to, it's a little mechanic where you raise this astrolabe, and you raise it up just below the sun, and that tells you, if you actually had a map, where you are longitude-wise, and so you could pinpoint your position on the map. And then for latitude, you kind of have to hope that you're either skilled at navigation, or I think there's someone on your ship who can sort of give you an idea of where you're at. Or you just know where you're at on the map. Like, to be honest, once you get this game enough, it really won't matter. You'll kind of know where you are, basically, or based on like the last town you visited. That I hardly ever used that mechanic. I just kind of avoided it.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember a single time where I've used it. I mean, obviously outside of playing around with it and stuff, but I never had a map growing up with this game. So it was kind of like, I learned the map before I would have ever figured that out.
Yeah, these days you'd have some sort of auto map or something.
Oh, for sure. Which is kind of interesting that for as groundbreaking that as this game is, that there wasn't a built-in map mechanic on it.
Yeah,
I know. There's already so much packed into the game, but something that just kind of gave you an indication of like where the nearest ports were, or what quadrant you're in, something like that, some indication.
Yeah, that's fair. And what's interesting is not too much of a tangent, but the Commodore 64 version, the first version of the game. Someone went back years and years later, and they added a built-in map to that game.
Really?
I fired it up on my Commodore 64, and they were able to put a map into the game so you could access it at any time, which I thought was crazy.
Wow, that is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But you said the gold version has it as well?
Pirates Gold has a built-in map. I think... Yeah, Pirates Gold has a built-in map when I played on the Sega Genesis, and then it's also on, DOS and Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like a newer version out.
Yeah, there was
came out not that long ago.
There was a remake that came out, was on the Wii, it was on the Xbox, it was on PC.
2004.
And... Yeah, 2004, and it plays a lot like the original, just with some updated mechanics and like a little DDR-style mini game when you're trying to woo the ladies. There's like a dancing mini game, but it's mostly like Pirates, but maybe a little easier to jump into for someone like Michael. So if you ever get a chance, try
what are you
that
trying to
one
say,
out.
Aaron?
I'm trying to say that.
I like strategy
simulation games.
I like simulation games. I don't like them on the NES. I feel like this game did an admirable job of recreating a PC-like game on the NES. I feel like it did a good job. But the fact that I have a PC or something handy that I can play a game like this on, I'm not going to waste my time on my NES playing it. Now, I understand as a kid,
sure, if
I needed something like that, then totally. I would be, if I felt like as a kid I wanted to play a simulation game and all I had was my NES, that's a scenario that I can understand a whole lot of people being in. But this day and age, I'm trying to play this game again at 30-something years old. I have a computer. I can play games like this or even this game on a computer now. It's just, I don't know. It's just that's kind of where I'm at.
No, I get that.
It's not that it's not that I really dislike the game. It's that I don't think I want to invest the time. It's at least definitely not in the NES version of this game to play it. But I do kind of agree. I do kind of agree with you guys. I think the NES, surprisingly as it may be the best port
of the 8-bits. Yeah,
of the 8-bits for sure, and even better than the Genesis.
Yeah,
for sure, because the Genesis
100% better.
Yeah,
always. Yeah.
Well, the Genesis version. Right. The Genesis version, what that has over this one is the mini map and being able to look at all the towns on the map and see what's up with them. In this game, you can look up different information about different cities. But yeah, that one did make it slightly easier in that regard.
Yeah. I think that the argument is easy to make. It comes down to if you were Michael, back with his original NES, and you had this game, and you had the time, keyword being time, to sit down and play and dedicate to it, I think you'd be in love with it just as much as we are. But as adults, I can tell you that I can't be a completionist on games anymore. I can't go through and explore every nook and cranny and do the style of gameplay that I would when I was a kid, because I simply don't have the time. And I also have way more games as opposed to one game that I just play over and over and over and beat it into the ground. So if I were, as an adult, Steve, playing this exact game, say for this podcast, I probably would have been very underwhelmed as well. And I completely get that. It takes a while to understand all the mechanics, understand all the functions. And I probably still don't understand half of this game as much as I do, But I'm sure there's tons of intricacies that, have gone way over my head, or just, out of sight for me.
Invisible mechanics and things like that, which, was par for the course back then because it couldn't necessarily show you on the screen because they should, there were a lot of things that, because it was 8-bit systems, just kind of had to be invisible.
Yeah, it's almost like that
along the way.
It's like that Nintendo hard quote, or like that retro gaming difficulty where it doesn't hold your hand. You're not getting prompt with, oh, well, you should probably head this direction and try talking to these people. And then maybe, like it, just gives you like little markers and a little pointer on the sea that tells you where to go. Like you didn't have any of that. It was just go explore and see what you get into.
Yeah, see what kind of mess you get into, and then hope you cobble together some semblance of a little fleet.
And you'll probably tank your first few games or your first dozen games, and you learn new things like, oh, probably shouldn't do that again. All right, well, I just ruined this game, depending on how far your save back was or whatever. I can tell you, like at that time, I was not like save scum guy at all. It was like I almost tried to play it like real simulation. Like, these are my guys. These are, if I made a mistake, like I'm stuck with it. I got to keep, moving. And a lot of
like Oregon Trail, it was like, okay, I'm stuck for the journey here. Sorry if you got dysentery.
Yep. Definitely. Got to ford the river.
That's right.
Ford in the Caribbean.
I was going to ask you, Steve. I was going to ask him one more question, which was, did you ever play any games that were like this that weren't pirates? Did you ever play anything like Starflight or any of these? I guess what they call them are like 4X games now, where it's like where you get to go explore. There's a lot more space style ones like this.
Yeah, I didn't play anything like that. I can tell you another game that I had a similar experience with, which was the original Pokemon games, like Pokemon Red and Blue. So I had Red, my brother had Blue. And with that, just like sailing in the open sea is like kind of walking in the tall grass, right? You get your random encounters there. Right. You got some resource management. You have, your towns and your areas. I know it's not exactly the same, and it's definitely an easier game than Pirates is. But I'd say that's probably the closest thing to that era, of
that open feel and being able to do things the way you want to. I get that. And you get to collect the monsters, and it's different each time because, you might catch different monsters. Totally.
Yep. And you don't know even if you are going to catch it. Right. Same thing with like, you find a ship. Are you going to be able to catch up to it, destroy it, run into it? Like how, you just don't know. There was no master balls in this game.
Right.
That's what I needed. I needed a master ball.
Yep.
You did.
Or just maybe a motor in my ship would be nice.
For as much as Michael complained about Pirates, it's still much more fun to play than Silent Service.
Agreed.
At least the NES version. Yeah, you try playing the NES version, and I'm just like, you need the manual because otherwise you're going to be so lost. So I will give this game more props.
I do want to know, before we wrap it up, I do want to know what you guys thought about the graphics. First of all, I thought they were okay.
Yeah, I'd say they were okay. You're not getting these big, beautiful late NES gen graphics out of it. It's obviously coming from the Commodore.
Yeah, even for Rare, Rare punched it up even more.
But I mean, think about how much is in this game, though. You have this huge open world map. You have all these eras, all these skills, all these little intricacies. I completely understand why the graphics aren't better on this.
10 save slots. I'm like, how many NES games let you save in 10 different spaces?
Yeah.
You saved that, but I was actually curious. So I looked up the size of the game. Like file size wise.
Yeah.
Because I was expecting it to be pretty big. It's only like 270 kilobytes or something like that. So it means it's about a quarter.
I mean, that's still bigger than, we'll compare that to look at like the original Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, sure.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not a large game. It is a large game. But saying
it's not like Kirby's Adventure where that was the only game that was like like a megabyte game. Yeah.
So it's like a quarter of Kirby's Adventure. So I'm thinking, a lot of a lot of the size of a game has to do with the music and the graphics, right? So that kind of tells you why probably this game's not a very big game, file size wise, because they probably spent a lot of their resources on making all the other aspects of the game work.
Well, how big is Final Fantasy? Because Final Fantasy had like the open world map type thing.
Yeah, and it had like a hidden sliding puzzle game, and it had a world map that you could view, and it had like
stuff. Look it up if it's available.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think Final Fantasy's graphics are like outstanding. You know,
no,
they're kind of flat.
I would say that the battle, when you got to the battles, like the enemy designs were cool.
Yeah,
the original
overall,
Final Fantasy is 144. So it's like about 100 less than this game.
And only one save file, which ticked me off to no end, because I had older brothers, and you tried to play Final Fantasy 1, and your older brother's like, nope, can't play it because I've got my save file. I'm just like, but this game, it's like you had 10 save files. It was great.
I think that the Final Fantasy graphics are better than this game, though. They're just
I would agree with you.
They're a bit more sparse, but
this one gets the job done, but it is definitely one of those things where I think, like, especially I love the intro image that pops up when you start the game. I think the Pirates logo looks fantastic. I think the little sunset looks really cool. And the ships and everything. So I commend that. But most of the games, like Steven was saying, most of this game is like lifted straight from the Commodore, except for when you get into battles. I do find it a lot more fluid than the other versions of Pirates I've played. Like it almost seems like they worked a little more on that battle mechanic to make sure it wasn't choppy.
Yeah, the graphics a means to an end for the most part.
Right.
Seems like.
Yeah, it was definitely not like Rare's
I mean, I think that
budget
battle
title.
mechanic was my favorite part of the whole game, though.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. They somehow made it pretty fluid, pretty solid for NES.
Yeah, and that's why I love being just a renegade pirate, because I would just attack everything. Like that was just, I would be completely full on crew, on resources, just attack a ship because it was there. And then like just, you sink the ship, I don't need it, and just move on. It was, Yeah,
that was super solid.
It's kind of funny because nowadays I play games as like the good guy. I'm typically like, I take like the high road for games, and like, when you have the choices for if you're going to be a good guy or a bad guy. But back then I was just, I was a little, I was a jerk. I was looking for a word.
This game's called Pirates, right? I mean, come on. It's called Pirates. Yep. You can't just...
It's not called Sea Traders.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not called...
Exactly.
What about the music and the sound?
The music, I could tell it was David Wise. It was his style.
Yeah.
So he was the in-house composer for Rare Games at the time. So I thought that was cool.
I think that the theme song to the game is just like so iconic. At least it is in my head. It's like, man, you just got to hear a half a second of that. It's like almost like Super Mario Brothers theme song.
It's triumphant. It's triumphant, especially because you'll hear that tune again later on in the game when something good happens.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then what I find interesting too is this game uses music as kind of a punctuation effect. And I kind of like that in a way. When you're sailing on the high seas, there are other versions of the game, they'll have music like the later ones. But it's kind of interesting just hearing the white noise and the sound of the sea. And
there's no music while sailing. Yeah.
Right. And then it's interrupted. And then when you actually charge a ship, you'll get another jingle if you win or if you lose. So I like these little jingles. And then what's interesting too is that some of the jingles that David Wise used that weren't original music were quotes from Johann Sebastian Bach, I believe it was. Huh. Yeah, there's some little snippets of classical music thrown in here. And the way I found that out was I was at someone's graduation years ago, and I heard something. I'm like, hey, this is from Pirates. And I was like, no, this is Bach.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That is pretty good.
Yeah. Overall, music's solid.
I think I like the music okay. The songs themselves are kind of take them or leave them for me. But I agree. I like the way they use the music in the game. Like I agree. I like the fact that it's kind of like calming on the sea, open seas. The only thing it's missing is a little Christopher Cross. You know, if I would have had that during the sailing segments, that would have been a little bit better maybe. But in lieu of not being able to license that song, I guess silence and just the sound of the waves is probably pretty good.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, maybe someone can hack in some crisscross.
Well,
no,
I think
don't hack in crisscross, please. No.
Make you want to jump.
I mean, the thing is with the lack of the music, and like you can hear the sea and you can kind of hear the seagulls. Like that's like classic kid imagination. Like I can just remember feeling like, man, I'm really sailing right now. Like it's. The lack of graphics, or even in this case, lack of music during the sailing is like almost works better, where you're almost put yourself into these situations. But then you get like these beautiful static screens of like, a harbor or, a
slightly ship. Animated. Yeah.
Sometimes
it's like you'll see a little flag waving and you've got your lookout and you see something off in the distance.
Yeah. And those screens are like really detailed and really good, for the NES.
Yeah, and I love like the ship being on fire and you see someone just coming out of the fire engulfed in flames and just looks really cool for the NES.
Yeah, definitely. I think that lends the imagination. But
all right, I think we're going to wrap. We're going to start wrapping up here. I think we need to talk about the price and how much does it go for, and if it's worth it or not. Justin normally leads this segment, but since he's not here, he texted me and said his internet is gone, like it just dropped, and he may or may not make it back. It depends on whether his internet comes back. As we know, earlier in the episode, he was fighting it, and I said I was going to edit, and we'll see if I actually do end up editing it. I don't know. We'll see. But so you may not have known that his internet was on the fritz earlier in the episode, or maybe you did. Either way, so the loose price on pricecharting.com is about $22.
That's a steal.
Yeah.
That's a steal.
I guess I will say...
what's the whole price? If you don't mind me asking.
$88.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big jump.
I almost feel like without the internet, though, you'd almost need it in today's day and age. Just needing the manual, needing the map. But with the internet, the loose price is excellent.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just like you could get a copy of Star Tropics pretty cheap now and have it be loose and still know what you're doing as long as you had the internet and knew what code to enter.
Yeah. Now, so I guess I think I agree that it's probably a fair price, just for the amount of game you get. I don't know that it's a game that I would rush to get myself. I think it's a good game. Sure. I think it's a fair price. I think it's going to depend on the style of game that you like, and if you can play that on an NES. So, like if you love simulation games and you really want to play one of the best ports of this game, then I think by all means you give it a shot, and $22 is totally a fair price. If you think the idea of playing a simulation game on the NES is a bit mind-numbing, which it was for me, then I would say probably don't. I would steer clear of it at $22. Now, if it was cheaper, if it was like $5 or $6, then I'd say either way, no brainer, get it. Or even $10 maybe. But now if we're just getting $15, $20, then you kind of have to really, because there's a lot of good games at that price range or slightly. So it's kind of like,
it really is.
Is it a genre that you really enjoy, and could you see yourself playing it with an NES controller? If so,
I'm fully willing to admit that nostalgia has this game on a pedestal for me. Like I'm not blind. I can see the graphics. I can hear the music and the lack of direction. Without the manual or the map. But
that's a lot of NES games, though.
Yeah.
That's not just that's not just you in this one. It's everybody in every game that they played when they were kids.
Yeah, I can imagine giving this to like a, let's say, 8 to 10-year-old today, and they would be instantly bored with it, want nothing to do with it. They'd be like where's my where they play Fortnite or whatever.
Yeah.
Minecraft. And
watch their ticky-tacks on,
Yeah.
or whatever it is
so
Aaron was talking about.
I can see this game.
It depends on the kid, I think.
Yeah, this is not like an immortal game like a Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Well, like Aaron said, it depends on the kid. You may get like a really weird kid that, like Aaron, that probably want to play it. Just kidding.
Yeah, like me or Aaron. Yep.
I know.
Right?
No, I can imagine if you gave this to an 8-year-old Michael living in this day and age, he'd be probably pretty angry, which reminds me of a joke. How do you turn a pirate furious? You take away the P.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a bad joke.
It's a dad joke.
True.
Do you know how to tell if a joke's a dad joke or not?
How do you do that?
It's apparent. Oh, and he's got the rim shot.
Nice.
I gave it to you. I couldn't bear to give it to myself. All right. So let's go. Now let's go move on. Let's give this game some trophies.
Rated R.
You know what this game needs? Some retrofitted trophies.
All right. Did you guys come up with any? We've got a few on our Facebook group.
I actually had several on a text file, and I'm looking for the file, and I cannot find it.
Okay.
So bear with me
I
while you guys do your thing.
Start, and I will also call upon the Facebook for us here. My first one is a bad guy who likes to loot and plunder. And no, I don't mean Captain Planet. This is loot something from every nationality, and you get bad guys who like to loot and plunder.
I've got one, which is frontal lobotomy, or bottle in front of me, which is go into the tavern one too many times and wind up in a drunken stupor, only to wake up months later in jail. Or be stuck in jail, basically. There you go.
All right, I got one from Facebook from Nick DeMarco. It's called a Hickman Fave. Playing pirates as Aaron Hickman tells you how much he loves it and all the fun facts about each version. So I think I got that trophy. Just saying.
Nice. We did know that. This is too true. I had another one which had to do with it had to do with crashing into a coral reef. But now I can't remember why you would actually want to crash into a coral reef unless you were just stupid.
How about
the for retirement?
Can we call it? Can we call that trophy "Pulling a Coral"?
Yes.
Does that
coral.
I think I deserve this one for that.
You deserve that one. Pulling a coral.
Thank you. All right. That's what we'll call it. All right, I've got another one called Sunsight or Staring at the Sun. And that is try to use the sunsight. Because you might as well just stare at the sun while you're driving your ship around.
Nice. I can't find my list, but I'm thinking of one off my top of my head, which would just be a family finder, which is just to find your lost family. Be a reasonable achievement.
Okay.
I would think the another one would be the mighty 1%, which is retire to become a rich banker.
I was thinking fake pirate, which would be to retire as the king's advisor, which is the highest rank, of which I've never done.
I've never done that either. I've gotten pretty decent, but it was never that high. And you just have to get loads of cash and have the highest rank, basically.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes me wonder, that would take some of the fun out, but just like take Game Genie to this game and see see what happens.
Are there Game Genie codes for this?
There has to be. I'd be fascinated if you could change like the wind speed and make it completely crazy, or just start yourself out with an insane amount of money.
I bet you could do the money thing for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I would do that in other simulation games like SimCity. Like, oh, yeah, I would love to start with all the money.
Yeah, that's just a fun God mode or something, that you can play for a while.
Yeah.
We got another one from Facebook. You are a pirate. And that is turn on the game and play it. That one was from Gabe Van Gelder.
Nice.
Oh, very nice. I'm thinking one could be called Nukem, and that would be gain the rank of Duke from one of your countries.
Nice. That's a good one.
That's one thing I don't even think we mentioned. There's a bunch of titles you can get all the way from starting at Ensign all the way up to Duke.
Another one I thought of was Let It All Burn, which is to go raid a ship and then just sink it and kill all the members on board that want to join your crew, and just be like, nope. also known as Stephen Michael's playstyle. Yeah. Oh, there's a pirate that wants to give you information. Nope, just shoot him.
We got another one from Gabe Van Gelder. It's Blackbeard, and that is win 100 duels.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah.
Hey, could you win 100 duels? Like with that?
Yeah, I guess you could. Nothing would happen, right? I don't know if you drink 100, something might happen. That's an awful lot. Something would happen, right? I did
use the restroom.
I got a question for you. What system does Blackbeard play this game on? He plays it on his BlackBerry.
Oh,
which actually has a copy of this game. There was a version of this game out that came out on BlackBerry.
Really?
I interrupt this important segment to let you know that there are some secrets to this game that I didn't know about.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Would you be curious to know?
Do it after this.
Yeah, let's do it after this, and I'll tell you some of those delightful secrets.
That means the people have to they have to hang on if they're not already gone, which they probably are.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
if I know our listeners. All right, that's not a knock on you guys. It's just that most people leave about 10 minutes in. All right, we got another one from Facebook. Oh, Peter, you would do this on the day that Justin dropped off, wouldn't you? Peter Olenich has one called the Olenich Trophy, and to get that, you have to say my last name correctly once per duel on Spanish Renegade setting.
Ooh.
And I'm sure I butchered your last name. That's normally Justin's job, so I apologize that his internet crapped out. All right, I've got one more trophy.
Zero.
A 2F by sea, and that is retire with 2 ships.
Nice.
Okay.
And only 2 ships.
Yeah. I buy that. I think that's great. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I had any other ones.
I think that's good. Why don't you give us your secrets?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm dying to know the secrets.
Me too.
Okay, so here we go. These are some codes.
Wait.
Ooh.
Okay, go ahead.
I like it. Okay. All right. So this starts out simple. You can reset the Hall of Fame, basically the high score table, by pressing right, B, and select simultaneously at the Hall of Fame. Now, don't go doing it accidentally, because you might not want to do that. But you can reset all of the saved games at the first of the copyright screens. Press and hold A, B, right, and select briefly. And again, don't do that to your older brother's game in his saved copy, because I did that once and erased his entire PlayStation 1 memory card. He was not very happy with me.
I don't think I like these secrets very much, Aaron. These are not very.
It gets better. Okay. It says glitches. You can keep the crew happy for a long time. It says at the age of 40, which is when life ends, as we know it, according to this game. At the age of 40, use the search command to make time go faster. The game will glitch and your crew will always be happy no matter how many men sign up. After a few years, though, the effects of this glitch will wear off. So that's really interesting because, it's hard to keep crew happy. It's like the more people you add, the harder it is. Okay, it said secret. Suspend time. So you can totally be like the Prince of Persia. Access the status screen every 6 to 10 seconds while on the sea to suspend time indefinitely. Which means in this game, normally, since it's a simulation game, time will pass while you're out on sea and months will pass. So if you pause the game enough, apparently, then you will not age and the time will not pass. And so what that also means is that if you know the Spanish, like the treasure fleet or the silver train or somewhere, you could totally cheese the game and make it so time does not pass at all by pausing the game enough. So that's pretty interesting.
That would actually be a good one.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Nice. All right. Is that it?
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. Let's go to rating.
No game is worthy until the dudes have spoken. It's time for the game rating.
Okay. So how do you guys want to rate this?
Oh, I think you know how we want to rate it. I don't know if you guys want to rate it. It's A+, top 5, grade A,
obviously
prime rib.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Well, we will rate it as a type of steak, if that's the way you want to do it, Aaron.
That's what I want to do.
I was about to say you obviously don't listen to the show very often, which is fine. I understand.
No, I just haven't listened to it in a while, and then I realized Genesis Gems has a somewhat similar format to Two Dudes in an S, and so I just start going off.
Yeah. Well, we're totally different. Okay. So
we're so different.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any similarities, it's because you guys stole ideas from us, which is fine. I'm not gonna. We are on a Pirates episode, so it's fine if you want to steal from us.
Fair.
But fair. As you know, Aaron, because you listen to all episodes of Two Dudes in an S, we don't rate on a plus or a number scale. We rate on a scale of type of something. But you said prime rib or whatever, so we'll go with steak.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you're going to go with grade A plus prime rib?
I have the feeling you're going to go with something like skirt steak or, something that's like a really tough, like, I don't know, like really hard to chew.
You don't know me. Just hang tight. I'm going to go last.
Yeah, I'll go with the prime rib. Maybe with I don't know. Just the perfect sauce on it.
Okay. All right. Steven, what do you think?
So you want mine? I'm going to go with a Wagyu tomahawk steak.
Ooh.
So it is a little on the pricey side, but it is delicious if you can get into it and if you can even find it.
There you go.
And plus it kind of looks like a hatchet, which I guess is why it would be called a Wagyu tomahawk. So and it's kind of savage like this game.
Whew.
Okay.
I dig it.
That was
Aaron. Just because you said it, I'm not going to go skirt steak. I'm going to go with flank steak.
He's going to go with Salisbury.
Yes.
No, he's going to go with he's going to be like, oh, let's go back to that steak that they gave us in school. Like, this is the lowest of the lowest steak.
I would not dare go Salisbury steak. That's too soft. This steak has to be tough.
That's right.
But it's tasty. I mean, you may chew on it for years and years and years, but if it's seasoned, it seems to be seasoned right. So that's pretty tasty. So I'm gonna go with a flank steak. I like a flank steak, especially when it's cut nice and thin. Which this is not. This is a very thick flank steak. But
fair enough.
Yeah, it can be tasty. It just may take you a long time to chew it, and your jaws will hurt after playing this game.
Maybe you just need stronger jaws.
Maybe you just need to shut up. All right, let's go to feedback.
It's time for D-Patter feedback, because when you're a D-Patter, you're a D-Patter for life.
All right. So on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/bitbrothers, we have some feedback from our listeners. First feedback comes from Stephen Michael. Who's that?
What a weirdo.
He says, this is one of my childhood favorites. I used to love the open world aspects as it was the first of its kind for me. This game is a diamond. I think that's a diamond.
Diamond in the rough.
Yeah. I mean, it could be something else, but it's totally a diamond.
It's probably not a gem, though. I wouldn't imagine.
No, it's can't be.
Sapphire.
No, yeah.
And no, I'm still following the GME Reddit threads, so that's a diamond symbol. That's a diamond emoji, okay?
A diamond, gotta have those diamond hands.
Yeah. All right, Greg Polander says, a very good port of the classic computer game. Came with a thick manual and a map as well, which are both very handy to play. For being a computer port, though, it plays very well on the NES controller compared to other ports such as Silent Service. Pirates Gold on the PC and Genesis is even better, but the original game is still a blast. Okay. Gabe Van Gilder says, if you don't give this a good review, we will make you walk the plank. That's funny. Go Bucks. And then Gabe follows up with, we know the two dudes are rooting for the Bucks in the Super Bowl. Reviewing Pirates seems a tad suspicious to me. Well, guess what, Gabe? It's months after the Super Bowl now, and we're just now releasing the episode, so you're wrong.
We can pretend like it's coming out before the Super Bowl, and then you could predict who's going to win and blow everyone's mind.
Yeah, we totally recorded this before the Super Bowl.
To give some context with this, my group Retro Gaming Monthly did this back in December of 2020. It's now April of 2021. And did we start talking about doing it way back then?
Yeah,
or was this shortly thereafter?
We started talking about who was we were going to do it, but it wasn't necessarily going to be timed with your group. It was.
Okay.
Yeah, we were going to do it. It was yeah.
I remember with your group just thinking that this game would come up a lot. I'm like, I want this game to be the game of the month already, because all these other games that I liked would get picked, but then I was just I really wanted this one.
Yeah, I thought it was a good way to end the year.
Speaking of, it's a good time for you to plug your group if you'd like, Stephen.
Oh, sure. Appreciate it. I run a little gaming group on Facebook called Retro Gaming Monthly. You can do a search on Facebook, or you can actually go to retrogamingmonthly.com and it'll just forward you to the Facebook page. That being said, it's like a book club where it's like a retro video game of the month. I put up a poll every month and we, as a group, vote for what we're going to play the next month. And sometimes it's obscure, sometimes it's kind of mainstream, but it's a fun community-based, community-driven game of the month club. That's the best way I could describe it.
Yeah.
So I know.
It's a good group. I'm actually just now. I'm going to go rejoin it with my new profile because I forgot.
Oh yeah, with your new profile. Yeah. So Michael, Justin, and Aaron are members. Well, Michael will be again here shortly. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and then I get feedback from, group members saying what they want to play. So for this month, it's April 2021. We're actually playing Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. And the poll for next month's game is actually coming up on Monday the 12th. So depending on when this comes out, at any rate, that will be the determination. It'll be up for about a week, and then that'll determine what we're going to play for May.
Nice.
So Yeah, that's a short summary.
It's always been a good idea.
Super Crybaby Express 2 first.
Yeah, the Mario. Oh man, it's tough.
I love that game,
so
but
tough.
if they would just change that sample,
The mute
it's like
button
especially as a dad, as a dad, and then having small children. And it's like before that, I didn't care. When I was a kid and I played that game, I was like, oh, I love it. This game's great. But then as a dad, it's just like, I don't know. It's PTSD. It's something about hearing like a little baby keep crying. You're like, ah. Help.
Yeah. Yep, that can be tough.
Yeah, so I would recommend going and checking out his group. His group has way more members than our group, so it's got to be good. Of course, we did a little bit of a reboot back in the day.
We did.
Not too long ago,
you guys kind of restarted. Yeah, we I think we're up mid 400 members right now, and the group's been around. We started in 2019. No, we actually started in 2018. We started with Strider on the NES, which we covered on this podcast.
Yep.
So, yeah, to give a sample of some games, like, just from what we've done this month, we started out with, Pirates was December, and then Donkey Kong Country 2 for the SNES in January. We did Castlevania Symphony of the Night in February. Then we wrapped up River City Ransom on the NES for March. So now we got Super Mario World 2 for April, and who knows what May will be. But if you enjoy retro games, which I'm sure you do because you're listening to this, look us up and come be part of the community.
Sweet. So we got a little bit more feedback. I got a voicemail, but as long as we're doing shout outs, Aaron, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Are you left-handed?
I am left-handed.
I was
playing a left-handed guitar I got from a special shop that specializes in left-handed guitars.
Yeah, I did not know this, but you guys just played a show at Super Bit Fest, right?
Yeah.
And I was watching a little bit of it was it last night? I think it was last night. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit of it, and I was like, either the camera has done like a mirroring thing, or Aaron is left-handed. So I was like, huh.
Yeah. Well, if you had actually gone to Lexington Comic-Con in Kentucky with us, you would have known this.
That was a hard time. I don't remember what happened, but I hate that I didn't make it.
I don't remember what happened. I just know you couldn't make it. We were sad. That was the Retro Junkies meetup that we did at the time.
But your show was cool because I like the fact that I didn't watch all of it, but most of what I saw, you had your drummer there and you were just jamming out on the guitar and he was just drumming away.
Yeah.
And you had other stuff that you could play that I guess you guys had probably put together, but you just go over and hit your keyboard and get it going, and then you could come back and just rock out.
Yeah, so I wrote all these songs originally. They were chip tunes, so they would play on the NES or the Sega Genesis or what have you. But then in the full band part, it was like, okay, I'm going to take out the drums, and then my buddy here, Ryan, is going to play drums on everything. And then I would add guitar parts, and then I would add keyboard parts where I could do like little keyboard solo type stuff, and then kind of just move back and forth. Yeah.
Now I don't mean this to be a knock on your guitar skills. I mean this more as a compliment on your keyboard skills. But you are an awesome keyboard player. I'm impressed.
Oh, thank you. No, I don't mind. I don't mind a knock on my guitar skills. I've definitely been playing piano my whole life, whereas guitar is a more recent hobby. So I definitely don't take it as a knock. I get it.
Yeah,
I'm working on it.
Very, very cool. And if you want to shout out, I know you're not allowed to shout out Genesis Gems, but if you want to shout out your music and stuff, feel free.
That's fine. So I am a musician, artist, composer, and I make music under the name Daya. So you can find my stuff on Bandcamp, which is dyamusic.bandcamp.com. I've made music for this podcast before. You can't even find that song somewhere. This is true. And I have some albums and stuff. And then, I am on the Genesis Gems podcast, which I know is blasphemy. but I am there, and yeah, you may or may not know my co-host. He's also on the Bit Brothers Network, Nick Stevens. Cool dude. We got cover Genesis games.
We got a voicemail from him, so they'll get to hear him.
Oh, no way.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So if you want to hear another game-by-game podcast focused on Sega Genesis games, that is what we do. So there you go.
And Aaron, for some reason, we let him and Nick be on this Bit Brothers network with us. I don't know why, but it's probably because Aaron wrote us this sweet tune that you'll get to hear right now. Oh, yeah.
Pretty dope.
I want to skip a little bit ahead because normally you don't get to hear the cool part.
Oh, yeah.
Normally we don't play that much of it. Actually, I didn't even get to the part with the "Hey Justin, what's up, man?" which is what the whole song's about.
Yeah. It is. It's about you guys, and I pretty much took your tag there of "Hey Justin, what's up, man?" and I put it in the song.
Yeah, it's very cool song. We actually
that's the first time that I heard the ending of that.
That was an April Fool's joke from many years ago. Actually, that was the entire episode. We just Aaron made that song, and we just made that the episode for April Fool's. But anyways, so it's very cool. All right, let's do our voicemails, and then we'll get out of here. First voicemail, we'll start off with Nick. Nick, he called in. Let's see what he had to say about the game.
This is probably going to be like one of the most infamous sound bites you'll ever have from Nick Stevens, but this is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Like probably top 10.
Okay.
Oh, top 10.
I'm getting outvoted here.
Wow.
I needed Justin on because I know Justin was not a big fan of this game either. So without him here, it's 3-1. If Nick's going to put it in his top 10,
Dang.
All right, we got another one. We got
sweet.
another voicemail. We got one from Jay-Z.
Arrgh, this be Captain Nintendo. I kidnapped JVNS and all of his video games. I got a sweet plunder of NES games. I'm taking them with me. And I got the crowning jewel, Pirates on the NES. It's a simulation that makes you real feel like a pirate. I would know, I'm the most fearsome pirate there is. Yes, you sail the open seas and plunder ships. Music is fantastic. Attacking towns and sword fighting and getting the ladies, all the great pirate stuff. But anyway, I gotta get out of here, because I just stole this guy's games, and he's coming back, I see him. What the heck, this guy just stole all my Nintendo games! What?
Okay.
Oh, poor guy.
That was not Jay-Z, yes, that was Captain Nintendo, apparently.
I'll give that voicemail call a rating of filet mignon.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Not quite the Wagyu, but...
wasn't the Wagyu, but it was good. It was very good.
That was good. That was juicy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can find us on social media at Facebook. Go to facebook.com/groups/bitbrothers. You can also check out our Patreon at patreon.com/bitbros. Of course, doing this you'll also accidentally get caught up in a little Genesis Gem stuff. Don't mind all that, but you can go check it out. You can also leave us a voicemail like Nick and Jay-Z did by dialing in at 775-7-RETRO-1. That's if you want to use the alphanumerics on your phone. If you just want to use numbers only, you can call 775-773-8761. Yeah. So we also have a website. I think it's bitbrosnetwork.com. Aaron, help me out. Is that it?
Yeah, so it's I think it's This website just went up, didn't it?
Yeah, very recently.
Let me try and access it.
It is bitbrosnetwork.com.
Okay, good, because the other one I went to was not family friendly. No, I'm just kidding. No, it just didn't bring up anything.
What was it, Genesis Gems?
So I'm trying to... Genesis Gems still works. So when you go to bitbrosnetwork.com, perfect. Yes, it does take you to our website now.
Yeah. All right, good.
It's awesome.
So there you can go there too. And that will that links you to things. There's also a picture of, for some reason, Jess and I are both obsessed with chickens, apparently. I didn't realize. But if you go, you can check out some stats about us, check out the hosts, and you'll see a picture of Justin holding a chicken. You'll see a picture of me wearing a chicken shirt. So Jess and I we just love chickens. So go to the website.
And I'm very happy, and Nick is very angry. Like it almost looks like he's on the toilet.
Yeah. Aaron looks like he just got a new job. Maybe just got married.
I did just get married.
That's why I snuck that in there. Congratulations, nice. By the way. And Nick totally looks like he's just taking a poop. He's pulling a Carl. So
he is
pulling a Carl.
Right. And he's got one of them softball looking microphones. It's interesting. What I'm saying is
yeah.
What I'm saying is, folks, you need to go check out bitbrosnetwork.com. Yeah, and shout out to the wee dude, Nico's 8-Bit Stereo on YouTube. It's great. And it's just the easiest way to go listen to NES, all the NES tunes, really. You can put it on the background while you're vacuuming the house or something. I don't know. You can also check out the Fox Dude. Thank him for our awesome Two Dudes logo. And shout out to Namo Gamo and Dave for our awesome Bit Brothers logo too. You should go play Basketball Classics if you haven't. It's good.
Yep.
All right. I think I've said more than enough. And I know you guys are tired of talking because you carried this show.
No, we can go another hour if you got the time.
That's right.
You guys go another hour, and I'll just go to bed.
Good.
All right. I think
everybody's ready for bed.
It's going to be a nice long one, so the listeners can rejoice. Tom Arnold would be impressed with this one. All right.
I think he would.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. And here's the music for the next game. And we'll catch you next time.
See ya.